Okay, welcome back. Now, what we're going to be talking about now after the tumble turns is what we call the open turns. Now, there's a bit of a myth in terms of discussing open turns. Some swimmers feel like they don't have to practice it too much because tumble turns is a much more often practiced turn. Well, that's actually a big myth, okay? Because you think about doing more tumble turns than doing open turns because majority of our workouts consist of freestyle. But the reality of it, the truth, is that there are more open turns in competitive swimming. Just imagine, we're talking about the butterfly turn, that's an open turn, touching the wall with two hands. We're doing the open turn for the breaststroke turn, but there's also an open turn executed for the individual medley transitions, such as the butterfly to backstroke, the breaststroke to freestyle. Now with the innovation of the backstroke to breaststroke turn, of course we are going to be discussing also that turn later on. But in order for us to focus on why the open turns is a very valuable turn to practice, is the old turn for backstroke to breaststroke transition. We also use the open turn for that. Okay, so just to before we continue, just to make a clear point of what we need to focus on, we're going to be focusing on three parts of the turns. Number one is the approach, or when your body makes contact with the wall, your hands make contact with the wall. Second is how to use the wall to your advantage, all right, in order to make that turn much quicker and energy efficient. And of course, we're going to focus on that no wall contact phase. What do I mean by this no wall contact phase? The turn, once you've executed the turn or the flip over, there's a part of that turn where not any part of your body is touching the wall. This is where we need to focus on how we can make that phase of the turn quicker with less effort. Okay, so again, like when we were discussing tumble turns earlier, we talked about what we said, ball mentality, where you're getting your body in a tight tuck, keeping your back arched and maintaining that arch so that you look like a ball to smoothly roll over. It's the same for the open turn. Even if you're going in the reverse direction, your body has to assume also that ball kind of shape. Also with the help of sculling. We discussed on freestyle that the hands are also active while producing the turn. Even on the open turn, okay, there's either one or both hands being active during the rotation phase. So before we go through that, okay, we're going to be discussing the different phases of how to learn being efficient on the open turn. Let's focus on basic steps. I know that we're supposed to be talking about advanced approaches to the turn because we're already talking to squads and coaches here, but it's very important to go a little bit to the basics to find out what we always neglect when we do the open turn. Number one, we're going to be going on step one, which is what we call the approach, contact, release. Again, let me point out, the approach is swimming towards the wall. Contact is when you make contact with the wall, and release. Because some swimmers, they like to grab the top of the wall, lift their body up, and come off. They're not actually releasing. They're utilizing the wall to help them make the turn, which is actually going to slow your turn down. To explain this further, I gathered some videos for you to explain each point. So the first point that I was driving at is the approach. There's a little exercise that you don't have to do breaststroke or butterfly with it. You can do a little bit of flutter kick or freestyle and make contact with the wall with both hands. Okay. Watch how this swimmer touches the wall, make contact, and as I've said, when you make contact with the wall upon the approach, you are not to keep your arms straight. You are going to make those arms collapse, getting your head as near to the wall as possible, going in a bent elbow position. And this is what we call the release, which you need to practice when you do the actual open turn. But right now, since we're going to the basics, watch this exercise. As you make contact, bend the elbows, and just push back. This allows you not to stay on the wall too long, but get off the wall as soon as possible. So some coaches, they would bring out some points such as making the swimmer imagine that the wall is a hot kettle, and you're not supposed to stay on that wall too long. So as soon as you make that approach and make that collapse, you got to release right away. Okay? So that's the first step. That's the first point that we need to drive at. Remember all these points before we discuss the open turn. Okay? All right, now we go to step 2. Okay, on step 2, we're going to do that same collapse that we did on step 1, but now we're going to combine it with the knee tuck. Now everybody observe. This is an underwater shot. Again, making contact with the wall, bending the elbows, getting the head near the wall, and watch that tuck. When do you actually make that tuck? Okay? As soon as you make contact with the wall, let's go a little bit backward here. You make contact with the wall, knees are still straight, elbows are bent. Once your head is in that position, that's when you put your knees to that tuck. Now halfway on that tuck, let's go back a bit again. Okay, let's do a slow-mo. Full bend, head near the wall, produce that tuck. Once that tuck is on a halfway of its completion, then that's the time that you do the release. Repeat. When the tuck is on a halfway position, you will do that release or push the wall away. Okay, now here's what we were talking about, the part where there is no wall contact. When the feet are about to touch the wall or drive to the wall, look at the hands pushing off. Remember, it's a quick release. After you've done that full bend, you push the wall away, and this is where you do the no contact phase, when not any part of your body is touching the wall. Here's where you need to maintain a good arc on your back. That ball mentality, that smooth movement where you're going to roll back, make those feet touch the wall, but not to stay on the wall too long, because the moment that the feet touches the wall, you are to release and come off right away. Okay? If you would like to watch that again. On the top view this time. Okay, make contact with the wall, collapse, tuck the knees in, and release the wall as your feet are about to touch the wall. As soon as the feet touches, you are to push off right away. This is one more. Bend, collapse, push away. As the hands release, the feet goes to the wall and gets off. Okay? Now remember that step 2. You feel like we're not going to be pushing off on our back? Yes, because we're doing breaststroke or butterfly. All except if it's fly to back. But here's step 3. Now what step 3 represents is the hand recovery. Because we don't want to push off with your arms by your side, of course. We want you to produce a streamline. So with this simple exercise again, to focus on these very important points of the open turn, watch this. As you make that collapse and you tuck your knees in, you are going to recover your arms. Well, this is the first one. Yeah, there you go. You recover your arms above the water. Watch it again. 2 hands, then tuck, arms release. Now, the point here that I want to drive at is this. The moment that your feet makes contact with the wall, your hands, either 1 or 2, should be torpedoing in towards the surface, right here. See? The moment the feet touches the wall, the hands are right there, torpedoing in towards the surface of the wall, the surface of the water, in order for you to produce that streamline push-off. Okay. Now we're going to go to step 4. Remember this, the timing of how to do that tuck. Okay, going to step 4. Again, it's not applicable if it's not going to be used for the actual stroke. It's not streamlined. It's actually cause a lot of drag if you're flat on your back. So the most streamlined position, the most smooth position that your body can be in getting off the wall, is to be on your side. So in step 4, you'll do everything the same. 2 hands touch, but watch. This one without an arm recovery. Okay, watch again. 1 hand. Okay, instead of 2 hands, which we practiced earlier, now we're going to be touching with 1 hand. Your body totally on your side. And you got to maintain that on the side position. You do the same bending or collapsing of the elbow, getting your head near to the wall. And as soon as you tuck your knees in, release. And allow both hands to be on your side. This practice will just focus on getting your body on your side, not necessarily recovering above the water. But again, if you want to apply the elbow recovery, we can do that too. Again, this is a point of tucking in, collapsing, tucking the knees under, and going on your side. Okay? It's on the side coming in and also on the side coming out. Just to practice the on the side position when you're getting off the wall. Okay, this is the one with, okay, hang on. Okay, this is the video part wherein there's a recovery above the water. Notice that, going back to it. We talked about torpedoing into on top of the water. As soon as the feet drives in, as you touch the wall, elbow goes higher than the hand, torpedoing with that hand upon entry, and pushing off on your side. Okay. Okay, now we go to that figure. Okay, the illustrations that I have prepared for you. Okay, as what was shown in the video, we're going to pinpoint all those details to focus on when we're doing that open turn. So this is a practice touching with one hand. Your body will be totally on your side. Touching the wall, you collapse that elbow in. Alright, your head going near to the wall as possible. With that bent elbow, you're going to start your tuck. Okay? Once you get to that elbow, bent elbow position, you're going to produce that tuck. And as soon as your legs go under, you're going to push the wall away. Now, one thing that we did not see on the video is what was the other hand doing? The hand that remained by your side. So when you make contact with the wall, one hand at the back, you're pointing backward, and as soon as you do that push off by your side, what does this do? On this illustration, in order to help the head to go in the water much quicker, you are to bend that elbow and do what we call sculling with that one hand. By pulling the water upward, you're actually helping your upper body to go down much quicker compared to not moving that arm at all. So as soon as you're assuming that torpedo position, where the arm above the water is about to recover from the surface, the arm beneath the water is also producing that scull. This is what we were discussing earlier, the no wall contact phase. While you're tucking in as a ball, watch the feet. The feet are pointed, okay, instead of flex, they're now pointed, all right? The ankles are straight. All throughout the turn, you gotta keep those ankles straight with the toes pointed back in order for the feet not to produce any drag. That would help your legs to smoothly drive towards the wall. And as soon as you get to the wall, this hand is still sculling. Why? Because by the time they finish sculling, the recovery arm that's torpedoing above the water will meet the sculling arm and go to that streamlined position. So we go to the actual turn, okay, which we use for butterfly and breaststroke. On figure 1, okay, notice the feet position coming in. Okay, earlier when we were talking about plantar flex for tumble turns, this is the reverse of it. Instead, you're going to do a straight ankle position, keeping those ankles smooth on the top. All right, eyes looking down, make contact with the wall. As soon as your both hands make contact, now I want everybody to notice the legal part or FINA rule is to touch the wall at the same time, but it doesn't mean both hands have to stay on the wall too long. Once you've established that, you are to bend the elbow quickly and pull one hand off the wall once you start tucking in those knees. All right? So while you're producing that push away from the wall that was discussed on video, collapse and release when you're doing that release, this hand that pulled back is going to assume that sculling position at the back and pull the water upward, which will greatly help your legs to drive to the wall and your upper body to fall in. Okay? Again, this is the phase where there's no wall contact. Think about ball mentality, getting your body to smoothly roll and allowing those ankles to remain straight so the feet drives to the wall smoothly, and you're sculling in with that hand underneath the water, and the arm above the water will thus produce that torpedo entry, which will make both of your hands meet. You are to stay on your side while you do this and get off the wall on your side. Okay? Well, you're not supposed to be on your side for too long. Just get off of the wall on your side, then roll over on your tummy. Okay. Now, before we do a recap of everything that we discussed in terms of steps, we're going to talk about this figure right here, figure number 2, with a video. All right? This video is actually a swimmer displaying a fast breaststroke turn, watch his left hand when he makes contact with the wall. As you do the two hands touch, watch the left hand get off the wall as quick as possible, while everything else you're doing with just one hand. Okay? Okay. Focus on that. Two hands touch, and as soon as you touch the wall with two hands, quickly get off that wall with that one hand and coming in. Okay? See that torpedoing arm over the water as you come in. Watch again. See that elbow? Now everybody, let's focus on the head position here. There are two ways to put your head in proper position for that turn. One is looking up, which everybody feels like it's the faster way of doing it, and another method is looking to your side. Now, what would you think is the faster method? Facing sideways or facing up? Well, actually, there's not much difference, and I will show you in a little bit. Okay, watch that head position with the swimmer facing to the side. Now there's a comparison here. Okay, look at both figures when it happens at the same time. Okay, they have different head positions upon entry on the surface. Watch. This swimmer is facing up, this swimmer is lower and facing sideways on the turn. When you look at it from above the water, it doesn't seem to be any difference between the two. They have exactly the same speed. Watch it again here. See, not much difference. Above the water, on a coach's point of view, it looks exactly the same. So what can be the big difference here? Hang on. It's what happens beneath the water. If you look at it again, this is the side view. Upon making contact, they're both doing the same method with one arm coming off the wall real quick. Look at that tuck. Look at that release. But once after you've done with that, notice that this is the guy that's looking up. This is the figure where the swimmer is looking up to the sky when producing that turn. He feels like it's quicker when it doesn't have to do any extra head movement. This guy is looking towards the side. If you would notice their body positions, he's more on the side position than him. He's still semi on his back. So if you continue that, okay, there we go. Upon release, he's still on his side. He's still on his side. He's not on his side. He still needs to add a little bit more rotation to it. So therefore, when we're talking about efficiency, he's causing less drag because he's on his side right away by putting his face sideways. But again, the point here, it's your choice. It's up to you. Which works better for you? As long as you're able to rotate quickly towards that prone position when you get off the wall, that's the point. Okay. Now going to our last video, again as a recap. Who else but Ryan Lochte? Two hands touch. Watch, as soon as he collapses against the wall, he releases that arm right away. Make that tuck. And see that sculling motion with that hand beneath the water as the arm torpedoes, push off on your side. Okay. Now, as I said, open turns are not only for butterfly, for breaststroke, or even for butterfly. This is the butterfly turn, and they produce the same method. Watch underneath. It's the butterfly. Same turn, sculling motion with the hand to make the upper body come in the water much quicker. Then release. Okay? It can also be applied for breaststroke to freestyle turn. Now, as I've mentioned earlier when we were talking about individual medley transitions, Before the crossover turn was designed or was accepted by FINA, the old turn is also an open turn from backstroke to breaststroke. And there's a perfect example of it. Same as what was shown in the previous videos when we did that one arm exercise coming into the wall. You'll be on your side. This is the last stroke of backstroke. Touch the wall, collapse with that elbow, push away, tuck in. And that's pushing off and going to your side. That can be applicable for backstroke to breaststroke as well.